Here's something I want to say clearly, right at the start. Ingo Swann didn't develop the coordinate remote viewing protocol because he understood how remote viewing worked. He developed it because he had spent years paying close attention to what conditions made it work better and what conditions made it worse. That distinction matters more than it might sound. It means the protocol doesn't ask you to believe anything before you use it. It doesn't require a theory. It requires attention, honesty, and the willingness to follow a sequence, carefully and in order. That's what Module 2 is about, not the theory behind what's happening. That comes later, in Module 4. What we're doing here is learning the structure, the 6 stages of CRV, what each one is designed to do, and why the sequence was built the way it was. Before the 6 stages make sense, you need to understand the problem they were built to solve. Ingo Swann gave it a name, analytical overlay, or AOL. The human mind is extraordinary at pattern completion. Give it a few fragments of sensory information, and it will instantly assemble a confident, coherent picture. You don't need to study a chair to recognize it as a chair. The mind fills in the rest and delivers it to consciousness as direct perception. You never notice the gap. In ordinary life, that's a gift. In remote viewing, it's the primary obstacle. Because when the mind encounters the incomplete, fragmentary impressions that arrive in a session, it doesn't wait for more. It reaches for the most plausible explanation it can find and presents that explanation with the felt certainty of genuine perception. That's AOL, and the insidious thing about it is this. It doesn't feel like a guess. It feels like seeing. The CRV protocol was built to work with that tendency, not to pretend it doesn't exist. Every stage is, in one way or another, a structural defense against AOL taking over the session. So let's walk through the stages, not quickly. Each one deserves its moment. Stage 1 is the first moment of contact. The viewer receives nothing but a set of coordinate numbers. They write those numbers on the page, and then without pausing to think, they allow their pen to move in a spontaneous, automatic gesture. That gesture is the ideogram. It's not a drawing, it's the body's first response to the target before the conscious mind has had a chance to engage. And immediately after, within a second or two, the viewer writes a single word. The physical sensation the gesture carries. Hard, soft, moving, natural, structured. That single word is often the most accurate piece of information in the entire session. Because at stage 1, the analytical mind hasn't yet had time to organize its defenses. 3 seconds. That's all stage 1 takes. Don't rush it. Stage 2 is where the viewer begins cataloging what the target offers to the senses, colors, textures, temperatures, sounds, smells. Recorded as raw data, not as interpretations. The discipline here is staying in the sensory register. You write rough brown, columnar, organic. You don't write a tree. That's a conclusion. The conclusion belongs to a later stage. Stage 2 captures the raw ingredients, not the recipe. This is also where AOL flagging begins, when the mind supplies a confident label. And it will, often and early. You write it down in brackets and return to sensory description. You don't suppress it, you document it and move on. Stage 3 introduces geometry. Height, width, depth, mass, movement, and spatial relationships between elements at the target. Not what the target is, how it's organized in 3-dimensional space. Tall or spread wide, heavy or delicate. A compact footprint rising upward or distributed across a landscape. You're not naming anything, you're mapping the physical structure. Stage 3 also introduces the first sketch, a rough schematic that captures dimensional relationships rather than trying to look like the target. That sketch will often tell you more in post-session review than the words that surround it. Stage 4 is where the session crosses a significant threshold. Stages 1 through 3 work entirely in the physical register. Stage 4 moves into function and emotional quality. What is this place for? Is it active or dormant? Inhabited by many people or visited rarely? What does it feel like to be there? Not your reaction to the session, but the feeling that seems to belong to the place itself. 2 buildings can share the same materials and dimensions while carrying entirely different characters. Stage 4 captures that character. And experienced viewers report it's often more reliable than you'd expect. Harder for the analytical mind to convincingly fake. Stage 5 is where, for the first time, you're permitted to direct your attention deliberately towards specific elements. What's happening at the perimeter? What's inside the enclosure? What is below the main surface level? This is where the most specific, operationally useful detail tends to emerge. It's also where the risk of AOL is highest, because directed attention naturally activates the analytical mind. Heightened vigilance. Same discipline as before. Stage 6 is the synthesis. The viewer uses everything collected across all 5 preceding stages to construct a 3-dimensional model of the target. A rendering that captures spatial organization from multiple angles, integrating the dimensional data from stage 3 with the functional detail from stages 4 and 5. The purpose is integration and confrontation. Integration, because trying to render all the session's data in a single coherent form forces a reckoning with impressions that seemed consistent in isolation but may not fit together in space. Confrontation, because the three-dimensional model is the most honest record of what was perceived, as opposed to what sounds plausible after the fact. Stage 6 is not part of every session. For shorter or simpler targets, most viewers stop at stage 4 or 5. But when it's included, it almost always reveals something the earlier stages obscured. I want to say something plainly here, because the temptation to shortcut the protocol is persistent. This is not a menu, it's a sequence. Each stage creates the conditions for the next one to work. Skip stage 1, and you lose the purest signal available to you in the entire session. Skip stage 2, and stage 3's dimensional work has no sensory anchor. Skip stage 3, and stage 4's impressions have no spatial container. Every shortcut compounds the one before it. The protocol doesn't ask for your trust in a theory, it asks for your trust in the structure. Follow it carefully enough and over enough sessions, and it will begin to teach you something that no amount of reading can. It will teach you the felt difference between genuine signal and analytical overlay, as it arrives in real time before feedback tells you which is which. That discrimination is the skill, and the protocol is how you build it. Your practice session for this module works through stages 1, 2, and 3. Take your time with stage 1, more than you think you need to. And remember what we're doing here. The ideogram is a 3-second practice in presence, in being with experience before interpretation rushes in to tell you what it means. Every session that follows is an extension of that same practice. This is the great work at the level of perception itself. The great work is here. The great work is now. And the great work is you.